right, it's 8:30. Good morning, all. Pamela, do we have a quorum?
He's opening up. Some of the people have to get upgraded.
Oh,
because they
so
went the other
let me
way. So
just
that's why-
wait.
Just hold on one second. Yeah.
Yeah, just wait.
I meant to say that. Jeez. Who are we missing? We are missing.
Senator Rush. Hey, Joyce. Hey, everyone.
Hi, Linda.
Hello.
Morning.
I think we're just missing China and trying to see, and John Heiler.
Okay.
So
I'll talk to
All right, so we're ready to start then.
hold on.
Hold on.
This is Council Baker. So. Ready to go when you are.
All right, we're ready.
Give me just a second to start the recording, please.
It looks like it's recording.
Oh, it went. Okay, wonderful.
Yep.
Okay, there we go. All right, good morning to all. Join us in this very sunny and beautiful spring day. Before we start, I would like to start with some welcoming words. I want to join the city celebrations in congratulating Mayor Walsh on his confirmation as Secretary of Labor. We thank you for your service to this great city, for your unwavering leadership during the pandemic, and your partnership and support to the Boston Public Library. On behalf of the trustees, we send our blessings into this new journey that you are about to embark. We are certain that you will conquer the challenges ahead of you, and we look forward to see your many triumphs ahead. With that, we want to celebrate our new acting mayor, Kim Janey, and first person of color to lead Boston in this critical time in the city. We pledge our support as we start coming out of the pandemic and look forward to our partnership to serve the residents of Boston and the Commonwealth at large with equitable practices. Congratulations to the both of you. But I continue with the celebratory spirit and want to give a warm welcome to our new trustees. And very happy to see you all here. And now we're sharing screens. Okay, there we go. And
hey, can you put up the slides instead? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Evelyn, go ahead.
No, that's okay. And as I say your name, can you, we would love to hear a little bit of an introduction of yourself and tell us why you want to serve our libraries. So I'm going to start with Navjeet. Bal.
Yes, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm very excited to be joining the Boston Public Library Board. I'm a lawyer in Boston. I'm a general counsel and managing director at Social Finance. I've served on many boards, many focused on legal services, including the Boston Bar Association Council, and many other organizations like that, including the Institute for Justice and Democracy in Haiti with Trustee Forey, and I had the pleasure of working with Cheryl at the Boston Public Market, where I was on the board there. So really a pleasure to be here and look forward to contributing. Thank you.
Thank you. Joseph Berman.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Joe Berman. I too am a lawyer in Boston. I currently serve as general counsel of the Board of Bar Overseers, which is the agency of the Supreme Judicial Court that enforces the rules of professional conduct for all 80,000 Massachusetts lawyers. For many years, I've served on the board of the Associates of the Boston Public Library, an independent 501c3 organization whose mission is to support the special collections, which are such an important part of the BPL, our rare books, manuscripts, and other items. I too, like Najid, have a wide variety of involvement in philanthropic and civic organizations in the city. Currently, I serve as the regional board chair of the Anti-Defamation League, and I also serve on the league's as chair of the National Legal Affairs Committee. And so I am a huge fan of the Boston Public Library. I've been with, as I said, with the Associates for many, many years, and I'm excited for this new chapter and look forward to working with all of you.
Welcome, Joe. Joyce Linehan.
Good morning, everyone. I'm not a lawyer. Until about a week ago, I was chief of policy and planning for Mayor Walsh. I spent a good amount of the last 7 years at City Hall advocating for libraries. I am honored to be appointed to the Board of Trustees because I spent many hours as a child at the Adam Street branch, many hours as a teenager and as a young college student in the Central Library. And now I live in Lower Mills and I'm proud to be a member of the Friends of the Lower Mills Library. Thank you.
Welcome. Senator Michael Rush.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair, Trustees. Honored and privileged to be with all of you today. I'm Mike Rush. I'm currently the Majority Whip in the Massachusetts State Senate, and I represent the Norfolk and Suffolk District, neighborhoods of West Roxbury, Rosendale, a little bit of Jamaica Plain, Reedville, and Hyde Park, in addition to 5 towns in Norfolk County. I am the father of 2 Boston Public School students and have spent much of my career teaching history. I continue to teach history and just have always been enamored with how fortunate we are here in Boston to have our central branch and then all the neighborhood branches reaching into the neighborhoods, acting as real community center libraries for all ages to all Bostonians and beyond. So I am honored and privileged to be with you here this morning and look forward to doing great things upon which all of you have already been doing and those before you have done that have ensured our library is just so absolutely outstanding. Thank you.
Thank you much. Welcome. Christian Westra.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks very much, Evelyn. It's great to be here. My name is Christian Westra. I'm a partner at Ropes & Gray, where I've led the firm's pro bono relief efforts here in Boston in the wake of COVID-19. I live in Boston with my wife, Sophie, who's a novelist who teaches at Grub Street, and our sons, Jack and George. I also serve on the boards of directors of the Leventhal Map and Education Center and the United Way. It's a great honor and privilege for me to be on the Board of Trustees. My family and I have spent many, many happy hours together in the library, and I'm just delighted to be here with you all.
Excellent. Welcome. All right. Pamela, can we have a roll call, please?
Of course. And just for the record, this meeting is being recorded. I will read your last name just to get through the efficiency for the votes. Arana Ortiz.
Present.
Ms. Zamawa is absent today. Jabari Asim.
Present.
Ball.
Present.
Berman.
Present.
Bradley.
Present.
Cronin.
Present.
Josina Forey.
Present.
Douglas.
Present.
Heiler. Sorry, John Heiler.
That's okay. I'm so used to that. Yes, I'm still present.
Hawkins.
Present.
Linehan.
Present.
Rush.
Present.
Tyler.
Present.
And Westra.
Present.
Tyler and Heiler sound familiar, so those are usually the exceptions to the rules.
There we go.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Next item on the agenda is the review approval of the minutes. Can I please get a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right. All in
Here we go
favor?
again. All
Roll
right,
call.
Arano Ortiz,
Yes.
Arenas, I'm sorry, I keep forgetting that. Asim,
Yep.
Yes.
Bal,
Yes.
Berman. Actually, I understand that it was the former one, so I will
Right.
leave out the 5. My
Great.
apologies.
Thank you.
Bradley,
Oh, okay, fine, thanks.
Yes.
Cronin,
Yes.
Dorcina Fori,
Yes.
Douglas,
Yes.
Hyler,
Yes.
Hawkins,
Yes.
and Tyler.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. And we had a lot of celebrations, and now we have to say farewell to our dear friend, Bob. You know, I said, you know, when I was growing up, my mother always told me, you always have to return things the better shape that they were given to you. And I can tell you that that's exactly what Bob has done for us. You know, you joined this board at a critical time. You have, you know, your leadership have guided us through new governance, and you have definitely you're leaving the library in a better place than when you started. We are grateful for your service, Bob, and I'm personally going to miss you, your wise advice and guidance. And there are no words to express our gratitude for what you've done for us at the library. Thank you for the bottom of our hearts. Bob, please, I want to make you cry, but can you share some words with us, please?
Evelyn, thank you very much, Evelyn. As I've said in a couple of other opportunities, the last 5+ years have been one of the greatest opportunities of my life to work with all of you. You know, each of us, thinking of all the people who just joined today, maybe Joyce brings the most background to stepping into this role, but many of us were invited for one reason or another and had a love for the place. But in my case, you really only began to understand what the place, what the library really is once I was able to get involved with the group of you who were already there. And to Joe's point, or to Mike's, doing this work for a long time. And so we were just stewards for a period of time. And that's, again, been one of the great honors of my life. So I want to thank all of you. I think it's ironic and fitting that with Christian and Joe joining Jeff on the trustees, we've achieved one of the things we tried to do from the outset as we went about changing governance. And I don't mean the royal we, I mean all of us. And that was to strengthen the integration between the trustees, the library itself, and the other 501c3s whose mission are to support the associates, obviously, in 11th Map Center. And look, my work is done here. I'm done. They're on. We're moving forward. Seriously, we have, you now have the one of the strongest boards in the Commonwealth, one of the most diverse boards in the Commonwealth, and I know in Priscilla's hands, and thanks to David's leadership and the very strong, irreplaceable support of Pamela, you know, we're just going to move on. And in this case, I mean we, because I am staying involved. As long as Jeff will have me, I'm staying involved on the fund board, and we're going to continue to do great things there. And the library will just, I think, go from strength to strength. So thank you for letting me say goodbye properly, given the transition. You know, things sort of moved kind of quickly once the ball started down the hill. And I guess it's also fitting that the mayor's leaving today. So anyway, full circle, and yet on we go. So thank you all. Working with each of you has been a real joy. And I'm really proud of the things we've done. And I'm honored to have been part of it with all of you.
Trustees, any parting words?
Can I just echo what Evelyn said? As someone, I was sworn in on the same day as Bob, and we had not met before. And Working with him has just been a complete joy. I know we all really appreciate his leadership, but he's also just as Evelyn said, just such a wise friend. And it's been an absolute pleasure to be inspired by his leadership of the board. So Bob, thank you for everything.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Thanks, Bob, and best of luck in all future endeavors.
We'll see you guys back at the library as soon as people let us back in. I'm buying wine one night in the bar as soon as it reopens.
I'm in. Anybody else?
We have a lot to celebrate together.
Yeah, Bob, let me just add, thank you for all your help on the fundraising front and the accomplishment we have today with the associates in the MAP Center joining us. And also note that you are not going anywhere, that I'm very excited to have you 100% dedicated to the fund and making sure that we're raising as much possible money we can for this great jewel that we have at the Boston Public Library. So thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
All
All right, you guys got a full agenda. You don't need me hanging around.
Well, yeah, we do. Yeah.
We do, Bob.
So, Evelyn, you want me to put up the
Yes,
next
so the
nomination
next-
item? And
Yeah,
so Bob,
so there we go.
Go. So Governance and Development Committee has the nomination. And before I do that, Bob, I've known you on and off over the years, and it's not just the amount of work you've done for the Boston Public Library, but for so many organizations in the state and in the city of Boston, that it's truly remarkable. And then to find the time to come in at such a critical moment in the history of the library and be able to, I think, Evelyn, it was a phenomenal way to put it, left it in a condition so much better than when you arrived. And it was a real honor to be participating in that with you. The temperament, the way you went about with really tough, challenging issues, the way you united with management and the people that work at the library. You were a true chairman of all of the people of the Boston Public Library and of the city. And I don't think there's a better fitting response than to know that you could talk to anybody and anybody had access to you on the library. And it was really remarkable that this is truly such a large organization and you made it feel like a very neighborhood branch. I think that's probably one of your greatest gifts of turning the library into something that's really special to the community and helping us get there. So all the best to you. I know we're going to be running into paths, especially when we get the phone call about giving. So again, it's been a wonderful experience.
Thanks, John. You mean you haven't gotten the call already yet?
So let's
Jeff?
get moving forward. Governance and Development Committee update.
I'm going to sign off. I just want to wish Priscilla the best and all of you the best. It's, as I'll say one last time, been a great joy. And I do look forward to seeing you all in person when we can get back together. Priscilla, I couldn't be prouder to be handing off the reins. It's a good segue because John handed them to me. Now they're going to you. We're only just going to keep getting better. Not that we weren't good under John. That's not what I'm implying. But anyway, I should have thought that one through before I said it.
Well, that sounds good.
Well, kudos to you, Bob, for your leadership, for your friendship, for your stewardship, and for the tone and mood that you set for the library to make all of us feel so welcome. I know that, your friendship with the staff they are appreciative of that, the personal and professional relationships that you've built. And I look forward to working with you and the fund. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Me too, Priscilla. I think we're talking again in a couple days.
Yes.
Bye, guys. Thank you for everything. You have no idea what these words mean to me and what this experience has meant. And I look forward to supporting Jeff's and the other team's efforts to continue to support the library. So thank you again. All my best.
Thank you, Bob.
Well done, Bob. Thank you. So with that, I'll move for the Government and Development Committee. It's a great honor for me and a great pleasure to put this next vote up to the board. By a unanimous vote of the Governance and Development Committee, we have nominated Priscilla Douglas, so that the trustees of the Public Library of the City of Boston approve the recommendation of the Governance and Development Committee for the officer nomination of Priscilla Douglas to serve as chair of the board for the period of March 23rd, 2021 through May 18th of 2021. It's the reason for that is she is the interim chair to finish up Bob's appointment for this year, which is until the annual meeting on May 18th, where we will have a new reappointments of the chair, vice chair, and clerk accordingly. So right now, what we are doing is putting up for a vote for the dates of today to the March 18th to the next annual meeting. And so what I need from the board is a vote to approve our new chairman, who David Leonard will speak a little bit about this afterwards. All I can say, and I just want to be very brief, is it's an honor to put Priscilla Douglas's names up to the board. She's a remarkable person who's accomplished many things. And I think following up after Bob Gallery, it's just fitting that it is Priscilla. So with that, I would like to put it up for a vote. Pam, if you could get a roll call, that would be great. I need a movement to move this vote.
Yep, so moved.
Second.
Second.
Oh, so all in favor?
Yep,
Okay.
if I can do a roll call. I'm sorry, John, I have to do it via roll call if that's okay.
Of course, yes. Yeah, we have to. I want to.
All right. Arano Ortiz,
Yes.
Asim,
Yes.
Bal,
Yes.
Berman,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
Cronin,
Yes.
Josina Fori,
Yes.
Douglas. Oh, I understand. Hyler,
Yes.
Hawkins,
Yes.
Linehan,
Yes.
Rush,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
and Westra.
Yes.
Boy, that's a long list now. Motion is moved.
Great. Congratulations, Priscilla. With that, I would love to hand it off to David very quickly. And then Priscilla, if you have a couple of words you'd like to add, please feel free, or anybody else from the board, because this is a very big moment in the history of the library and whenever we have a new chair. So David, I'd love for you to have a couple of comments here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman of the Governance, Development and Nominating Committee. On behalf of myself and the administration, we wholeheartedly support the trustees' decision and really look forward to working with Priscilla in this new role. We've gotten to know her a little bit, and we certainly thank Bob for once again in public for his many years of service and his incredible leadership. But I personally look forward to working with Priscilla and building the same level of collaborative relationship that we have had in the past. And Priscilla, on your website, which I'm going to quote, your consulting firm helps leaders achieve breakthrough results. You coach individuals to be more skillful in working collaboratively and strategically. And I can't think of a better set of qualifications and expertise to inhabit this role as we go forward into our next chapter. And I think, as you know, my own career beginnings have origins in the subject of philosophy. And your website also starts with a quote from the philosopher Martin Buber, that every person born in this world represents something new, something original and unique. And every person's foremost task is the actualization of his or her unique, something that never existed before, unprecedented and never recurring possibilities. And so I think there's no better convergence of your interests, these philosophical statements, my own interests, and the mission of the library. And so we welcome you, Priscilla, to the role of chair of the Board of Trustees. Thank you, John.
Great. Priscilla, please, if you have a couple of comments you'd like to make, that would be great. You're welcome.
Yeah, well, thank you for that kind introduction. And it's such a great day. I want to publicly acknowledge Bob Gallery's leadership again and his commitment to reshape the board. And I know And I want to thank Evelyn Arena Ortiz for serving as the interim chair. I look forward to our work together and your continued wise counsel. And to my colleagues, it's great to be a member of this board, that one that represents the diversity of Boston, a majority minority city. I appreciate your great energy and intellect. You're all wicked smart, and you bring to governing, and you're bringing that to governing the BPL. A special thanks to Clerk Pamela Carver for successfully onboarding our new members. Taking on this role at this time, when we long to be out of these Zoom boxes and back in the library, would have been daunting if it were not for our president, David Linnett, and his talented and innovative staff. We're so proud that you've operated seamlessly and actually reached new patrons during this COVID. And what a day. I want to echo what Evelyn said at the beginning. A special thanks to Marty Walsh for appointing me to the board in 27 and wishing him all the best in his new role. And welcome, 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 and kudos to Kim Janey, our new mayor, an educator through and through, who has seen firsthand the role libraries play in people's lives. I've been thinking a lot about what leading this board means to me right now. And that role is to expand accessibility and to ensure that the library is a welcoming place for all. The library has been and will always be a place to advance knowledge, to discover and dream. It's relevant. No matter what's going on in the world, the library has a central role to play, especially now when our lives have been upended. As a nation, we have much recovery ahead of us. Recovering from the effects of COVID, healing the wounds of 400 years of racial inequity, bridging the economic and digital divides that keep us unable to thrive. And today's Boston Public Library is here to help bridge those gaps. All are welcome to use our library services. And one of the things that I've learned is that books are only the beginning. The library can help you prepare for a job. You can use a computer to find a job, transition to a new career. And the library is here to help you with your homework, teach you how to podcast, and it can provide an important Wi-Fi hotspot. So thank goodness for the array of free services that not only meet our needs, but they often anticipate them. Many of us realize that we will not return to normal. We now think in terms of the now normal. And now is hybrid. It's the way we roll. The library did an outstanding job pivoting to provide these online digital services. And the library isn't over there with BPL to go. And your library card in the palm of your hands, the library is wherever you are. Last night, I zoomed into the celebration for the 150th anniversary in East Boston. That's the first branch library in the United States. And these branches were placed in neighborhoods to bring the library services closer to the people who need them. And that's exactly the work that we're charged with today. From the oldest to the newest, our Chinatown branch, which opened in February 2018 to serve that community. It's a beautiful place. It's a well-loved space, and it's a safe space. It's meaningful for me to start my service leading this board as we celebrate the beginning of the branch systems. And I'm honored to be one of the trustee stewards of these community resources as the library continues to evolve and engage and serve the community. With these great trustees, the BPL staff, the affiliates, and with everyone who works at the library, I look forward to the days ahead, continuing to bring the library to everyone who wants and needs us, free to all. Thank you for your confidence in me, and let's get to work. And now to David Leonard for the president's report.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. And as my first order of business, I would like to call on my good friend and colleague from the City Council, Councillor Frank Baker, who will present to us on the matter of dedicating and renaming of the community room at the Adams Street branch. Councillor, good morning.
Thank you, David. Excuse me for my voice. It was a bit of a long weekend, but David, thank you for your advocacy. It's not too long ago, and former Senator Dorsina will remember 10 years ago, we were fighting to keep libraries open and fighting to just get paint on the walls. So the difference now with you at the helm, and also that goes for a thank you to this outgoing administration, Mayor Walsh and his team. You guys have done a great job. We're seeing libraries pop up all around the city. Adams Corner, we're pushing towards Upham's Corner. You know, I was part of the advocacy in the Chinatown Library. You know, so that those are all good things that have happened in the 10 years under this board and under the leadership of David and this outgoing mayor. With that, I'd like to also congratulate incoming acting Mayor Janey. And I'm just going to read a little bit here, prepared statement. So thank you. I want to begin by thanking the trustees and giving me the opportunity to speak this morning. My name is Frank Baker, the District 3 City Councilor. Pat O'Neill was a longtime Dorchester resident who led Ashmont Adams Neighborhood Association for the past 20 years. She was a driving force behind the annual Dorchester Chili Cook-Off, which supported the Dorchester Day Parade. She served on the holiday celebration committee responsible for annual tree lighting festivities throughout Dorchester and was on the advisory board of the Dorchester YMCA. Pat has received numerous accolades for her commitment to her community, such as the Quinn Award from the University of Massachusetts, Boston, for her outstanding community leadership. The Dorchester YMCA, originally from Dorchester Award for community involvement. The Massachusetts Commission on the Status of Women added her to the list of its unsung heroes at the State House ceremonies, and Boston Main Streets recognized her as Volunteer of the Year. As a patron of the Boston Public Library, she valued its role in engaging area residents, young and old, and she would have been a champion for the new branch scheduled to open up in the spring. Her tremendous contributions to the community at large deserve recognition by naming the Adams Street Library Community Room after Pat O'Neill, and I wholeheartedly support this effort. I look forward to the day we can gather in the Patricia O'Neill Community Room. Pat passed away last spring during the beginning of COVID, so her family and friends were not able to give her the send-off she deserves. This would mean so much for so many people and very deserved. And I also believe Pat's son, Patrick, is on here with us. I believe he's just viewing. I wanted to just acknowledge him and say a little bit about Pat. Everybody knew Pat, and the way she advocated was holding her notes and smiling in your face as she was giving you a laundry list of things to do. But it was never for her. It was always for the community. So this is a really, really great part of my job, of our job, to actually be talking about a new library and to be able to name a community room after someone who lived and breathed and ultimately died with Dorchester in her mind, in her blood. So thank you for giving me the time here. And again, thank you everybody for what you do. And thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Trustees, I am happy to report that all of the letters of support that are required for such a naming opportunity have been received and are included in your packet. I would further note that in my tenure, having seen a number of naming opportunities come to the floor, this is the most number of letters that we have ever received for a single naming opportunity. So I'm assured that Pat O'Neill was truly a special person and add my own support to this vote. Trustees, I will leave it to you to add comments of your own and to call on a trustee to move the vote.
Very good. I just want to echo Councillor Baker. Patricia O'Neill was quite amazing. An incredible woman who has been a steward in Dorchester, but more importantly, the library. And I think to be able to have a room named after her is quite an amazing honor, because she was out in front of the library a lot, right? Not just on election day holding signs and the whole nine, but has really been someone who brought the community together, which is important, right? When we think of our library, it's a place of gathering where people come from all their experiences and they show up. And that's Pat, as she led the Civic Association, bringing people, lifting voices of folks sometimes that have been unheard. So I totally support, you know, the dedication of the room at Adams Street Library for Patricia O'Neill. So I would like to move the vote.
So move.
So do we need a roll call vote here?
Yes, we do.
All
Thank
right.
you, Priscilla. I'll do a roll call for you. Arano Ortiz,
Yes.
Asim,
Yes.
Bal,
Yes.
Berman,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
Cronin,
Yes.
Dosina Fori,
Yes.
Douglas,
Yes.
Hyler,
Yes.
Hawkins,
Yes.
Linehan,
Yes.
Rush,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
and Westra.
Yes.
Motion is passed.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Counselor. And thank you to the family, to Pat O'Neill and his family.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will now continue with my general update. And while we are a local organization serving the people of Boston and the people of the Commonwealth, we are also cognizant of national events. And so I want to recognize all those affected by the tragedy in Colorado that unfolded yesterday afternoon. And I also want to read into the record my statements on the murders that occurred in Atlanta last week. Early last week, we were reminded once again in one horrific event of the myriad challenges our society faces. Challenges of systemic racism, of individual racist action, of violence, the lack of responsible gun control, and the ubiquity of not only racism, but also misogyny and patriarchy. I'm speaking of the murder of 8 individuals, 6 of whom were women of Asian descent, and the subsequent attention this has brought to a sustained pattern of anti-Asian sentiment and the incidents across the nation, of which there has been a resurgence in the era of COVID-19. I want to unequivocally denounce these terrible acts of hate and violence in Greater Atlanta. Our hearts go out to all those directly and indirectly affected. There can be no question that race and gender, along with misogyny and xenophobia, played a role in these killings. These multiple issues made this incident really a terrible lesson in the truths of intersectionality. While a large, although not exclusive part of our focus as a library on racial equity in 2020 has been grounded in the lived experience of those who are or identify as Black and or African American, this latest tragedy is a clear reminder that all people of color can be faced with disrespect, unequal treatment, stereotyping, actions rooted in white supremacy, and the potential for violence. We are called to ensure that true inclusion is centered in our work and in our dealings with colleagues and community members. We will now turn our hearts and minds to those in our community who are Asian American, those who claim heritage from the variety of cultures and nations that we include in this aggregate identity. Regardless of the motive claimed by the perpetrator, these were racially informed murders. One of the key local longer-term efforts I am most proud of in the last several years is our work to bring about a permanent Chinatown branch of the Boston Public Library. We have a temporary branch today. The new branch will ideally not only serve as a place for the immediate residents of Chinatown proper, but will be a resource for Asian American community members and regional interests more broadly. The BPL, with the support of the city administration, remains committed to seeing this project come to fruition. Just one way in which we can redress disenfranchisement of this community that in our case dates back to the 1950s. As a side note, as part of our ongoing Repairing America series, I recently hosted a conversation with Dr. Esther Chu, someone who is not uncomplicated in her own life, about how racism and public health are tied together. Perhaps it may be timely viewing as we grapple with yet again the troubling legacy and consequences of our nation's history of systemic racism. I'd just like to have read that into the record, given what we are dealing with nationally currently.
Thank you so much, David, for those eloquent words and expressing all of our sentiments during these difficult times.
Thank you. And now to some more positive and operational matters. I would like to introduce two new managers who have been added to the BPL team. First, John Toll is our new Chief of Staff and Strategy, who joins us having left the mayoral administration as a senior advisor to Mayor Walsh. Jay, if you would promote John and Brett so they could just offer a sentence or two of greeting to the trustees. And the second manager I will be presenting to you is an internal promotion of Brett Curry to the facilities manager position for the branches. John?
Just give 1
We
minute for Jason.
seem to have an audio issue, John. We can't hear you. I see your lips moving. Can you double check your microphone?
If not, we'll move to Brett and come back to John in a second.
Good morning.
Good morning, Brett.
How's everyone doing today? My name is Brett Curry. I'm new to this position, but I'm not new to the Boston Public Library. I've been working for the library for 21 years. I'm not gonna say my age, but I've been working for the library half my life. And the thing I like about this job, being a facilities branch manager, is that it's like a behind the scenes type of job. You know, some people like Al Pacino, Robert De Niro. I like Martin Scorsese. Some people like John Travolta, Samuel L. Jackson. You know, I like Quentin Tarantino. And the point that I'm trying to make is that coming to the branches, people are like, wow, it's nice and clean, smells good, it's very accommodating, but sometimes they don't know the hard work that goes into making it just right for people. So I'm just looking forward to helping the branches get into this new normal and making it safe for everyone, and a place where people will come and it reminds them of the way things used to be, but also safe. And I like to thank all of you because, you know, without y'all, there would be no library. So thank you.
Thank you, Brett. John, how's your audio? We may come back to him later, but we'd like to welcome John and Brett to the team. And I am also happy to share that the city has lifted its hiring freeze. And so we will be filling out many of the vacancies across the staff that we've been holding for the last several months due to the fiscal concerns. And so we will be getting back to full strength just as soon as we can accomplish that operationally. With respect to general updates, I would note that we received news that library workers would be eligible for vaccines along with general availability starting on April 19th. We were unsuccessful in having library workers classed in one of the earlier categories, although some individuals may be eligible in early categories on their own. But April 19th is not that far away. And while vaccination is not a requirement for beginning our process of reopening, it will certainly give everybody a little extra or a lot extra comfort with beginning to ramp up the return of in-person services. At this time, we're continuing to operate our BPL to go service, and over the coming weeks, we will add back some very modest additions to those services across the system while we wait for our more detailed plans in the coming weeks and months to receive full approval. But we are moving in that direction, and I am sure by our May meeting, I will have much more accomplishments and detailed plans to report on. I would now like to move to the next topic within my report, which is to approve the memorandum of understanding between the trustees of the Boston Public Library and the City of Boston. This is one more item that during Bob's tenure, we wanted to bring all of our formal relationships under the appropriate MOUs, which we did with the new Boston Public Library Fund. That one will come before you, we hope, in May. And we have done with the Associates of the Boston Public Library and the Leventhal Map and Education Center. But to complete the set, if you will, we certainly with Trustee Lenihan's leadership in her prior role, were able to strike the right note and enshrine commitments the mayor made during the initial period where we were focused on these relationships. The key points are that it recognizes that under normal circumstances, funding and philanthropic contributions to the library should be seen as supplemental to the city and state's financial commitments and not displacing them. And secondly, it enshrines the ability of the trustees to present nominations when there are vacancies on the board, to present nominations to the mayor of the time for approval and appointment. And so this is in your packet. You can see all the, well, there are so many lawyers on the board now, I shouldn't gloss over this point, but there's a lot of legalese in the document that you hopefully have had an opportunity to review. We're happy to take questions on any of this. Otherwise, I will ask the chair to call for a motion to move the vote.
So could I have a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding with the City of Boston?
So moved.
Thank you. Any
Second.
questions? Could I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Thank you. Arana Ortiz,
Yes.
Asim,
Yes.
Ball,
Yes.
Berman,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
Cronin,
Yes.
Josina Fori,
Yes.
Douglas,
Yes.
Heiler,
Yes.
Hawkins,
Yes.
Linehan,
Yes.
Rush,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
and Westra.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would now like to move to presenting the draft strategic roadmap of the Boston Public Library. This is a bridging document that takes us from the Compass Plan that was approved in 2012, 2013, and will carry us through the next several years. That is as proposed, at which point we would plan to do a more fuller strategic planning exercise with all of our stakeholders. And I believe there are a couple of slides to take us through this section. Thank you. You can go to the next slide. That's East Boston celebrating 150 years yesterday on that slide. And so I'm just going to present this, its origins, and just go over the components. Next slide, please. And so this is proposed as a bridge, as I've said. It was introduced in the high level to the all staff meeting back in November of 2019. We took some feedback at that period, and the leadership team, division directors in particular, have been working on this and gathering initiatives that are already underway under the purview of this document. We recently presented it to leadership and then to our management team. We will present it to our staff next week at an all staff meeting. And we're presenting it to you today with the idea that we have about 6 weeks or so to gather additional feedback and ask you to vote on this at the May meeting. Next slide, please. And so the key principles are as follows. To continue the work of becoming an anti-racist organization and building a culture of respect. To develop and deliver programs and services that build and maintain equity. To build, maintain, and activate all of our collections. To expand our reach, awareness, and impact, and to do so with fiscal sustainability in mind. To maintain and develop inspiring spaces, to keep them well maintained and provide modern infrastructure. To create patron and staff connections and services through technology, and to continue to be ready to expect the unexpected. Next slide, please. And so the key timeline looks at how this will be accomplished over the next 3 to 5 years, broken into 4 separate phases that you can see in the overall document, starting in January of this year and continuing through December of 2025. Next slide. And while we know that there are parallel or other documents or work that together comprise this document, which includes the technology plan, our work around racial equity, the work around collections and so forth. They are referenced in the document, and so will give us, at least at a high level, the ability to have a roadmap, and the full document is in your packets. At this point, I will pause. I think we're at the end of this section. So happy to take any general questions from the trustees or any specific questions on this plan.
Hey, David.
Yeah.
When we did the Compass plan, there were a lot of community meetings to get feedback. Is that the plan here as well for the next 6 weeks?
It is not. This is really to be a bridging roadmap to take us through to a more fuller strategic planning process that would have that level of characteristic of community involvement.
Okay.
The real exigency is that the Compass plan, much of it is now out of date, although the principles continue as values for certain. And so for several of the entities that we apply for funding from or report to, it's incumbent on us to have an active strategic plan. And so this roadmap really can serve as this purpose. But that's why I'm considering this as a bridging document between where we were and a more fuller process that will probably start with community input as opposed to ending with community input.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, David, I guess it's a little touchy, but on the first comment, I guess I'm looking at it, maybe you can explain it to me, but becoming an anti-racist organization. I guess why I'm bringing that up, becoming, is it, I've never looked at the library and kind of your comments earlier on what you were just talking about, the tragedies that occurred in the United States. I've always looked at the library as one of those organizations that has tried to change that. And is there a better way to word that, as to continue to maintain vigilance, or I don't know, I just, because I just think becoming makes it sound like it never was. So I just, as your lead, I think everything written down below it is really important. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just wondering if there's there might be a better, or if it's too late to change this, but becoming an anti-racist organization, I've always looked at the library as that bastion of trying to be exactly that, an open dialogue and a place where people can feel safe and go and learn, not dependent upon race, religion, or anything like that. So I'm just wondering on that one big word right at the start.
Yeah, I don't see this as a change in value. I see these commitments as really stemming from what free to all means.
Yeah.
And so I think what we're doing, although our word choice is different, is commitments that are fully consistent with what I believe our practice has been for 172 years.
Yeah.
The current moment and the current time really, I think, asks institutions to more formally and deliberately make those commitments explicit. And it is our response, and this language is consistent with the racial equity statement that the trustees voted on in August of last year. And so perhaps we can think about the word becoming, but I think the focus on being an anti-racist institution is in fact what the moment calls us for.
Oh, I agree completely. It was more just that one term, because I do think you guys have done some remarkable things. I think the board has, to try to battle this inherent racism and open it up and free to all. I think it's a great term. It was just more the term, because in some ways, I think there's been maybe I'm the only one that thinks that on the board, but I thought the term becoming just was, I would love to see continue to strengthen or something like that, because I do think you guys have really tried to be a place, the library has tried to be a place that has been open. That's all. And strengthening. That's all I'm saying.
And I agree, just to echo John, I mean, I agree with John in terms of becoming, but I do think it's continuing to elevate, right?
Yes.
And promote anti-racism, blah, 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 right? Because in terms, not to say blah, 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 but you all know what I mean in terms of the books and the presentations and the panels that we can do in terms of discussion. But I do think it's about continuing.
Agree completely. That was it.
Can I just add on?
Oh, go ahead, Cheryl.
I was just going to say, I had the same reaction, just only about the word becoming.
Correct, yeah.
To kind of focus on the change. And also I worried a little bit that by using the word becoming, it could be demoralizing or denigrating to current members of the management team who have been working for several years on this and have had a commitment to it. And I was worried that they would see the board utilizing the word becoming as a real rejection or criticism of their work, that we all agree, we all have to do much better, and it has to be a deeper commitment and it has to be strengthened. But I thought the word becoming just could be perceived as current staff as a criticism of their efforts.
Thank you. Jabari?
Yeah, I'm not as sensitive to the becoming as other people. It suggests to me that the institution is in a state of evolution, as we all are. We are all becoming, I think, in that direction. So I didn't respond that way. But more specifically related to that, The New York Public Library recently announced that it would keep on its shelves the 6 Dr. Seuss children's books that are being discontinued by the Seuss Foundation. I wondered if the Boston Public Library had a position on those 6 books and where they would be made accessible to the public or not.
We have discussed that. And if Laura Ermshire is on, I would ask our Chief of Collections to be promoted by Jay and be able to respond to Trustee Asim's question.
David, while Laura gets promoted, one comment that I would have to make is that when we talk about diversity and inclusion, it goes beyond race, right? It's the LGBT,
Absolutely.
it's the, and I
Gender.
would like, you know, it would be my preference, you know, to include a statement around that. I understand, you know, dismantling in, you know, structural, you know, policies that reinforce racism, but at the same time, you know, it's more above and beyond that. So including a statement around, you know, diversity and inclusion that goes broader, I think it's important as well.
Thank you. And I believe as you probably will recall, or maybe the new trustees may not yet be aware, we are engaged in this year-long process with YW Boston around organizational transformation that took its start in the issues of racial equity that we took up, but certainly, and I think none of us have any objection to that focus at all. It is right and fitting, but there is a broader landscape of diversity work, equity work, and inclusiveness that we as an organization must continue to appreciate and act on, both as our own culture, but also ensuring that all of our work, which we believe aligns with these values, but we must do the processing to ensure that shows up in our collections work, in our services work, in our partnering, in our work with the community. It doesn't mean that there aren't going to be situations where not everybody will be happy or like a particular initiative or effort. But as an institution, ensuring that these values are enshrined in the work that we do is important.
And I think that's the key part that we're talking about is embedding this language into everything that we do, and to ensure the alignment and the actions across to attack this issues of structural racism. So the idea that, you know, again, we're learning, we're advancing, we're integrating, and we're going to have this bridge document to get us to where we want. So I suspect that what you'll be bringing to us is the evolution of this language as it gets embedded into our documents. And
yeah, Priscilla, I think what Jabari said was just, and I agree with that. It's an evolution, and a lot of us are all going through it across the country, and hopefully it happens faster. But I guess that's where I was coming from, and I thought the other trustees worded it well. It's more that it's this evolution of the library just getting better and better and better, which we all have to, and I think that's really critical. I think on the second point, which I think is really important, and it might be worth an agenda item on one of our next meetings, though, is how do you filter? You know, as far as being an author, I guess you probably have some really interesting thoughts on that. You know, what is appropriate, and I think it might be worthwhile to go through that with you know, your policy instead of a one-off just on the Dr. Seuss books, but in general, you know, this whole concept I think is really important of what is, you know, kind of the filter that the library will use going forward. And I think we're fortunate to have some authors on this board that could also share some insight on what they think as well. But it might be worthwhile, Priscilla, to have this as a topic to discuss sometime as a board. I don't know if anybody else feels that, but I think it's pretty timely.
I see a lot of heads nodding, so yes, yes, definitely. Thank you for bringing that up. Let's go to Laura,
yeah.
and then to answer the question, and then.
Thank you. So for the 6 Dr. Seuss books that were recently announced that will no longer be published, we have them both in our circulating collection and in our permanent collection in the Jordan collection. So they'll remain in that collection as so they'll remain accessible as one of our special collections. And the items in the circulating collection will be treated much like our other books. While there's an interest in them, they'll remain on the shelves, but over time as interest dies down, or if they're no longer being used, then they'll be weeded out as we treat the rest of our circulating collection. We have seen an increase in the interest of those materials. About 83% of those titles that we currently own are either checked out or on hold for patrons. So all of the publicity certainly got people's attention, and for whatever reason, they want to look at them and see what they're like. And that's what we're here for, is to provide access to them.
Thanks for that update. And I might refer people to the op-ed that I published on this subject in the Globe maybe about 10 days ago. I have thought about this to a considerable extent, and I'm not in favor of censorship at all, but I do think we should seriously question our position in terms of making these books available to the general public and measure how it fits with our stated mission of becoming an anti-racist institution. So I just want to consider within that context when we have those discussions. Thank you.
Interesting perspective, I agree. And David, can we have that forwarded off to us?
Yes, certainly.
Yes.
That would be great. Thank you.
And I would also just note a distinction that's important between having materials available and having them actively promoted during programs. And so that's a distinction, I believe, that that may be relevant to this kind of discussion.
Can I just ask one question just to Laura? And I actually agree with the decision for now. I wonder, did we consider at all some note on the book or something like that that would give some context or recognize the offensiveness of some provisions of it? I'm sure many of us who read these books to our kids, even 20 years ago, saw the oddity, or whatever you want to call it, of some, and the offensiveness of some of the language. But so did we consider in our process of thinking about this some note or something that clarified why the library was going to continue to allow these books to be in circulation within the library?
We don't have that for our physical materials. We have actually been thinking a lot about that with our digital collections, and we have put in a statement on Digital Commonwealth and added notes to some of the collections that we have to inform people that the historical context of the collections, and that we are not endorsing a viewpoint, that we have them because they existed. And so we have a statement for that. We have not applied that to our physical collections, but I think it's a great point and something that we are thinking about. How do we balance the desire to maintain access to these things with helping to inform people of the context of the collections, and it going to what David said about we're not promoting them. Like, what can we do to help people understand the background of some of the things that we have?
So I think this is a really worthwhile topic. So I would say, Priscilla and David, to the whole team, this would be a really worthwhile dialogue to have, to update and educate the trustees of where the library is heading on this, and to kind of follow up with Jabari's comments. an opportunity to evolve. And I think it's much more than just this meeting right here, but maybe it's a real specific focus on this. I'd love to hear something like that.
Thank you.
I will at this point conclude my report and I believe pass the agenda to our Vice Chair and Chair of the Finance and Audit Committee.
David, I think John's on his video.
Oh, great. John, did you want to offer your comments before we move on? John Towle.
Oh, hi. Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry for the technical issue I had earlier. I just want to, first of all, congratulate the new trustees. And I'm grateful to be able to serve the BPL in this capacity. I was a lifelong user of the Boston Public Library. My children use it. I've been a friend of the Hyde Park branch. I'm a big fan of this institution. It's terrific. It's also a very well-led institution. And again, I feel just very grateful and privileged to be here. But congratulations to everyone again, the trustees, and thank you for having me.
Welcome.
All right. Want me to get started, Priscilla?
Yes, please.
All right. Let's start with our technology plan. Kurt.
Hello. I think Jay's going to bring up the slides. I'll try to keep this as brief as possible, as I know we have a packed agenda. So just to start, this technology plan. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm the Chief Technology Officer for the library. And as of last week, I've been with the library for 2 years. And the technology plan has always been something that I've been working on in the background, but I'm excited to finally share with you. So Jay, if you could just move to the next slide. I think at the core, this technology plan is really important because technology has become so integral to the services we provide, and it also creates opportunity for our services to be more efficient or more effective, create greater impact. So this plan focuses a lot on the impact to our patrons, as well as how do we improve the existing infrastructure that we have to support staff and for the IT department, which I oversee. Next slide, please. So I also took this opportunity while I'm the CTO. I do have influence in every technology component of the library, but I directly oversee the IT department, and I wanted to take the opportunity to kind of reframe the way that as an organization we look at the IT department, and rather than it being a place where you just go to get a device, get assistance when you have a problem, I really wanted to reframe it more as a strategic business partner. So as different departments within the library are looking to bring new services, that they look at us to say, hey, help us innovate and have the technology we need to make this new initiative, et cetera, more effective. Okay, next slide, please. The technology plan is basically comprised of a set of goals that are then broken down into various initiatives and then activities within those initiatives. And this plan has been shared with leadership across various departments. And so a lot of people have seen this, and that's really what this is about, is helping to communicate what are our priorities and getting that alignment, since so many of these goals and initiatives require cross-functional teams to successfully implement. So I'll quickly just review what the goals and related initiatives are. So this first one is focus on, sorry, Jay, if you could just stay on that slide. So the focus on impact and outcomes. And this is really about us kind of keeping that mindset of how do we create the greatest impact. And to do that, we should reassess what our key performance indicators are. We need to implement a data analytics platform, and then make sure that the data being fed into that platform is of high quality. So how do we streamline that data collection to make sure that it's reliable? Next is extending the library's reach. So this is, there's a few items within this that are digital equity related. And so this is kind of the first one where we're looking at how do we reach patrons in the way that they need it the most right now. So how do we expand our external Wi-Fi? How do we begin to lend Chromebooks for patrons to take to their own home? And how do we look at our hotspot program and making sure that they get to everyone that needs them? This is also looking at how do we expand some of our advanced technology lending or consider doing that in some cases. So something like lending podcasting kits or maybe some advanced photography equipment, and basically looking at that segment of people who maybe have that baseline technology proficiency but are looking to improve their skills in a more advanced area. And then this next one, expanding educational opportunities, kind of, as we provide more equipment and tools for people, we need to also provide that education along with that. So there's a lot of basic technology training that's done today, but I think that more could be done with supporting patrons within their homes. Once they have the Chromebooks, how do we support them to make sure they're using them effectively and really getting the most out of them? And then as we're looking for how do we do more advanced technology programming, perhaps there's some kits that would really allow us to leverage these more advanced, say, if we stay with that podcasting equipment example, perhaps it's like a kit that would travel from branch to branch to coincide with programming related to that kit, so that we're really getting the more advanced technology skills out there to all of our branches and not necessarily just the ones with innovation spaces. And then, of course, as a part of expanding educational opportunities, I think there's an opportunity to also improve the technology skills of all of our staff, which make it so that whoever a patron comes into contact with is going to have better skills to help them right then and there, rather than referring them to somebody else. The next goal, developing spaces that meet evolving patron needs. This also looks at our digital equity and how do we've been improving our external Wi-Fi, but how do we actually improve those spaces to make them more comfortable for patrons who perhaps have jobs that overlap with our opening hours and would like to use the internet connection after hours. Also, with this transition from COVID to more video conferencing being the standard, I want to look at improving all of our branch locations, video conferencing capabilities. And then I'm just gonna, there's more initiatives within these. There's about 3 per goal, and more of that detail is available, but I want to just make sure that I'm being respectful of your time. So on to the next one for enabling one library. We've done a lot with implementing a communication and collaboration platform for us to work better within our organization, but there's more to be done with improving our internal document management. There's also an opportunity for us to improve our relationship management and making it seem as if we're, making it so that we are working together as we work with external organizations, that whoever that point of contact is at that time, that they have a understanding of that partner as a whole, what they've recently worked with us on, et cetera, who they last talked to. And then driving organizational efficiency. This is just looking for ways that we can use technology to improve some of our existing workflows, such as timesheet submissions. How do we onboard new staff members and or maybe promotions and changes in roles, and how do we integrate that with IT to make that a more seamless experience? And then last, improving IT fundamentals. These initiatives are more of the standard IT department initiatives that you would imagine. So refining our business continuity plan, establishing technology refresh schedules, improving our data center, and increasing our information security measures, and also looking at professional development for our IT staff as well. So within the comprehensive plan, there's all of these initiatives, activities, key department involvements, and estimated costs. But Jay, if you could just go to the next slide. And this is the last slide here. So it's hard to commit to a specific timeline for all of these initiatives, as there's a lot of research that still needs to go into each of the initiatives as we progress on them. And that'll help further refine that. So I kind of see this as a iterative process, but in the effort of, you know, in the mindset of being transparent, what I've done is developed a area within Microsoft Planner that's going to be accessible for all staff to be able to view all of the goals, initiatives, and activities around them, and get status updates on how we're progressing on those. So this will be something that is a living and breathing document for staff to reference and get updates with over time. That's that. Thank you for your time, and I'll pass it back to you, Evelyn.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions before I give an endowment fund update? Nope. All right, I'll move on. All right, thank you for that, Kurt. We had a lot of discussion in the Finance and Audit Committee. We did have a review of the detail plan, and we're really looking forward to Kurt implementing. Quick update on our endowment funds. So the committee met with our investment advisor, and you know, in summary, our funds are performing really well. We basically had a return in the portfolio of 18%, very strong results. Long-term performance of our portfolio is at 8%. The current total assets, it's at 73 million. So we have strong gains, strong portfolio currently, and there are no concerns with the fixed income allocations. They are also performing really well. We have also, you know, that's basically the results for last year, and we have to look forward. So we assessed what are the themes that are emerging today as we start, you know, coming out of the pandemic. We see that, you know, there's a lot of people who have been quarantining at home. There is, you know, demands to spend, so there's expected growth in the economy. Europe is experiencing some challenges, and they're closing the economy. Rates will remain lower for longer. And, you know, China starts to transition, you know, it's been transitioning from manufacturing to service-oriented economy. So they are also experiencing some growth. We also see that the ESGs, you know, are gaining steam, and more ESGs are getting incorporated into portfolios, which are going to put, you know, we're expecting to see some impact in some changes as it comes to human rights in China. We, as the, you know, Finance and Audit, have reviewed, you know, proposed allocations in our portfolio to leverage these emerging themes and mitigate our risk. We were not planning to bring a new fund manager into our portfolio. All we're planning to do is some redistribution of the existing funds. And do we have that slide, Jay, in there? No? Can you move forward? That's the summary of how we did. Next. These are the themes, and here is the implementation that we plan to embark on. So if you notice the items, you know, highlighted in red, we will be taking monies out of those funds and then reallocating to the funds in green. And so to the right, you'll see the new weights on the allocations. And in the middle there, where you see the column that says total weight, that's where it is now. So that's what it's now and what we will be changing. And then, you know, in looking forward to continue to grow our endowment funds. Jeff, John, anything you want to add?
No, I think you hit all the highlighted points very well, Evelyn. I don't know,
All
Jeff.
right,
No, I think that's a great summary.
thank you. So there's no vote that has to be given. It was just an update.
You
And
have
with
to
that,
vote on the
But we do
technical
need a
measure.
vote
oh,
on,
we did a vote on the technical. I'm so sorry.
we do need to
You
vote on
have to
the
On the
as-
technology plan. Yeah,
technology
sorry.
plan, and thank you, Kirk, for that really comprehensive presentation. We need a vote to approve the technology plan for
Yeah,
20.
my apologies. Yeah. So can I please get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
Pamela, roll call?
Yes, Serrano Ortiz,
Yes.
Asim,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Berman,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
Cronin,
Yes.
Josina Forey,
Yes.
Douglas,
Yes,
Heiler,
Yes.
Hawkins,
Yes.
Linehan,
Yes.
Rush,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
and Westra.
Yes.
So moved.
All right, Priscilla.
yeah,
Back to
thank you. Thank you, Evelyn, for the Finance and Audit Committee, and thank all the members of that committee, for your keeping your eye open during these really volatile conditions. I particularly appreciated the context that you set for the decisions that have been made, and all of you have had a chance to read through the materials, you can see all the work that's happening with that committee. So thank you. Going to open it up for any new business, anything any of the trustees want to raise in terms of new business. I think we did that along the way with John's suggestion to have more comprehensive conversations as we talk about our evolving role in terms of becoming an anti-racist institution. So where are we now, Pamela? Help me.
Okay, can you forward it to the next slide? It's public comment.
We welcome public comment.
We do have a few signed up. First is David Vieira. Please note that everyone has 2 minutes. Your mic will be unmuted and you have 2 minutes to speak.
Good morning, everyone. My name is David Vieira. I am a 20-year member of the board of the Citywide Friends of the Boston Public Library. And I usually, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. My name is David Vieira. I'm on the board of the Citywide Friends of the Boston Public Library for the last 20 years. And I usually attend these meetings in my capacity as the liaison to the branch libraries. And I would also like to welcome the new trustees and our new chair. The library and its branches have been a very integral part of our city for many years. And we know that the strengthening of the library system is going forward, and we look forward to continuing to work with you. I will make a personal comment on the discussion of the Seuss books. It's my personal opinion that the library should not be involved in providing editorial comment to any author's books in any capacity. And I think that the continued availability of books, regardless of some offensive language or other items that might be in the book, would be detrimental to the intellectual expansion of our city. Thank you very much, and good luck.
Thank you, David. Next, we have Paula Core.
Pardon me, Pamela, can you spell that out for me? I'm not finding that.
COAR. She may be under a different email address. I think it's like Paula at, and it had some numbers after that. If not, you can move on to the next one while you look.
Oh, Paula D574. I hope that's you.
I'm here. Hi. My name is Paula Cord. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, good. Okay, so this is the third board meeting that I've attended, and I'm a resident of Roxbury, and I'm on the Nubian Square Coalition. I played a major role in renaming Dudley to Nubian Square, along with Brother Siddiqui and our beloved deceased Chuck Turner and a number of other people in the community. And I guess we assume, like in Mattapan Square and Codman Square and other communities in Boston, that our library would be named Nubian Square Library, Nubian Library. We were very confused. And so we decided that we, as a coalition and having received thousands of votes from the people of the community to rename Dudley to Nubian Square, we are not happy that the library was not named according to the community that in which it is in, which is Nubian Square. And we want that Roxbury Library to be renamed Nubian Library to go along with the community. It will be the only library in the whole country that will be named after a Black civilization. What is the problem with that? And we're very unhappy about that. So we're moving forward to, continue to petition to the community that we rename that library to Nubian Library. Not to mention, Mr. Leonard did write a letter to us that we have in writing that said we would have a community meeting about renaming the library. So, and then we presented that to him at the last board meeting, and he said it's not going to happen. So why would you write that letter, Mr. Leonard? We have it in our hands. So we are not happy about what's happening, and we feel that is a racist policy not to name that library after the community that it's in, Nubian Library. Plus, we are Roxbury residents, by the way. So that is my comment. And we are continuing on, and I'm hoping the new president will listen to us as a community, because we had thousands of people voting for Nubian Square. So now we want to be able to name the library Nubian Library. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kaur. Next, we have Jumada Smith.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go right ahead.
Okay, I might need you to let me know when my minute is up, because I get a little.
Timer will go off for you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So just good morning, everyone. And my name is Mrs. Jumada Smith. I'm an advocate of doing what is just and right. And Madam Chair and trustees, it's great seeing you on this morning by way of Zoom. I will also want to congratulate the chair and the trustees, the newly members, a few of which I've had the pleasure of working with in some form, shape, or fashion. And Joyce Linehan, you may know me, but and just working with you, and I hate to say former, but our former Mayor Marty Walsh, along with the Egg Strong Commission with Sheila Dillon, and my being in many community organizations, I think one to include the Greater Boston Interfaith Organization. But I also want to recognize State Representative China Tyler, because she's a young lady, I say girl, young lady. And that's also important for diversity, that we let some of have young people part of our organizations and part of our city. So what I wanted to say, surely Boston is what they used to call a melting pot. And fairness in accentuating a little bit of all of the people is important. All of the people in Boston. And I'm here as it relates to the improper naming of the Dudley Branch Library. And it's not so much a Black thing to me. It's more culture, it's more ethnic. When I was thinking about the late Miss O'Neill, you know, or some of the pubs in some of the areas. We don't say Irish, and we don't. I mean, we know it's Irish, and we know it's Italian, and we know it's so forth. And I'm saying all that to say it doesn't necessarily have to be a Black thing. It's just a cultural thing. And the point that was made, we just need an opportunity for the community. Before a vote was promised, the community of people, part of the community, was not notified before the vote. So I'm just asking for a fair process to be taken, and that the request that you do what's right and just, and either rename the library the Nubian Library, or in the alternative, give the people an opportunity to fully weigh in.
Thank
and
you,
I thank you all for listening. Thank you.
And then last, I believe, is, I'm not sure, I don't know if you wanted to sign up or not. We had a Samuel Pierce or a Marie Furman, and then that was it for.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone, for inviting me to speak. My name is Samuel Pierce. I wanted to do a little bit of house cleaning and say hello to Joyce Lenahan, who's a dear friend of mine, as well as talk to Michael Rush, and as well as give all acknowledgement and praise to the new chair, Priscilla Douglas. I wanted to talk a little bit about what the president, David Leonard, had said about specifically the Chinatown branch. I think that's wonderful that we are going to be including other ethnic groups as part of our learning here in Boston, because if we are going to have an international city, then it does make sense that we have different languages and different ethnicities that we incorporate in our melting pot. And I say that because just like Chinatown, Nubian Square has made history. There is currently a Chinatown in every major city. However, Boston, just like we invented America, has created the first Nubian Square in the history of the United States. So I just want to acknowledge all the people on the Nubian Square Coalition for making history. I think that's wonderful. I also want to bring the library's attention to Eggleston Square and to Chinatown as we start to consider seriously what the name should be for the Nubian Square Library, mainly because as most squares hold their name, the library in Eggleston Square is called the Eggleston Square Library. The Fields Corner Library is called the Fields Corner Library. And so it would just make sense, using the theory of osmosis, that we would name the Nubian Square Library Nubian Square Library. So that is pretty much all I have to say. Obviously, there are a number of people in the community that agree that the name should be changed. And so I would like to start focusing on what books that we can incorporate, what the artwork would look like, how we can get the community more involved instead of having circular discussions that should already be resolved. Thank you for paying attention and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Mr. Pierce. And last, we have Marie Furman. All right, we don't
Hello,
have.
can you hear me?
Oh, there she goes, okay.
Can you hear me now?
Go right ahead.
Okay. Priscilla Douglas, congratulations. Looking forward to hopefully meeting you and working with you in some capacity. I am a resident of Roxbury. I'm the president of the Black Biz Development Group, which is an organization that is restoring justice for Black businesses in our community. I am an avid user of the library, Copley, the library in Nubian Square. I used it as a teacher. I use it as a business owner. I've learned so much in the library, and I think that the library has done a wonderful job educating our community. However, it's a new day. You know, we are learning new things, and we must begin to incorporate those things, and the things that are happening in our communities make a difference. It really affects the library. And I just wanted to say that I'm a proponent of naming the library Nubian Library for several reasons. And I won't go into all of them because I think that my colleagues have said a lot today. But I wanted to just let you know that I look forward to working in any capacity with the library and making sure that it is totally utilized, because it's an important structure in our community. And I'm hoping that the name will change to Nubian Library. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we had just a couple that signed up in the last few minutes. Jay, you have the list of them, correct?
Yes, next up we have Dr. Reginald L. Jackson.
And then I think we had one after that, Nora Vincent, and that was the end of it for the sake of time.
Unfortunately, I have two panelists with the exact same name. They're both Dr. Reginald L. Jackson. So I'm going to try one and then the other, and hopefully one will work.
Hello?
Looks like the first name is not working. Let me try the second.
Hello, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Sorry about the difficulty in getting in. I'll be brief. I too am part of this Nubian Square Coalition, and I wanted to weigh in. It kind of it's a very uncomfortable feeling to know that and to hear about equity and inclusion and fairness when there seems to be issue with process. As a member of the coalition, I was under the understanding that there would be an opportunity for the community at large to weigh in on the name change of the library. And apparently that was circumvented, and there doesn't seem to be any acknowledgement of the end run that was done and the disservice that does not only to the community of Roxbury, where I've lived for almost a half a century and used the library, both there in Dudley, now Nubian Square, as well as the library weekly up at Parker Hill. So I'm concerned about the illusion of inclusion. I'm concerned that there doesn't seem to be any ability to rectify, missteps in the past. And I'm hopeful, though, that with new leadership and the recognition and understanding that we all have to figure out how to be here on the planet together in a manner that makes sense. So I'm hoping that we can put this issue to rest. There are several organizations, something like 20 or 30 in this coalition, all of whom could write letters to the trustees, just as was done at the earlier vote for the naming of the room that we spoke about earlier this morning. So I think we need, as someone just earlier said, Samuel said earlier, we need to get up about the business of determining what's going to be in the library, how it will service folk, and move on. So
Thank you very much, Mr. Jackson.
I hope I don't have to come back again, but I thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. And is that it, Jay, or did we have anyone else?
Perhaps one more, Nora
Nora
Vincent.
And then we'll have to shut it down for the sake of time.
Hi there, good morning. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, my name is Nora McManus Vincent. I live in West Roxbury. I am an avid library user and a parent of 2 BPS kids who are also avid library users. I've never sat in on one of your meetings before, and I'm happy to be here this morning. The discussion around the word becoming was really interesting for me to listen to. And I want to echo Jabari Asim's words that I think that it's important to keep that word in. I think that unless there was a previous explicit commitment to anti-racism across your organization, you can only say becoming. You might note that there's been past work around diversity. There might be some other wordsmithing you want to do there. I'm certain that there are employees of the library and members of the board who have been working to incorporate anti-racism into their own practice. But I think this moment calls for saying that this is work that you are on the beginning, in the beginning of doing, and that is okay, and I think would be appreciated by patrons. I know it would be appreciated by this patron, and by my kids also, and by lots of other patrons, and I'm sure your staff also. I also think that as long as I can visit a library and see a sign that folks can't check out books while they have their hood up on their hoodie, you can only say becoming. Thanks so much for your time. Have a good night, morning. I'm used to testifying in the evening. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And that concludes public comment. Priscilla.
Thank you very much, Pamela, and thank you all for your public comments. I'm going to say we're going to adjourn the meeting. I'm not going to call for a formal vote on that. I just announced that we're going to adjourn, and I look forward to seeing you all in May. I'm thrilled that the members of the library will be eligible to get their shots beginning on April 19th. I can't wait till we can be in congregate settings once again. So thank you very much. Did I miss anything, Pamela?
No, perfectly done. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Congratulations, Priscilla.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great meeting, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Nice seeing you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.